I want to tell you about a man I know. This man, he still gets angry sometime, but when it rises, he knows exactly where it comes from and it doesn't control him anymore. His wife reaches out to him and he doesn't disappear. He stays. And now his kids know what it feels like to have a father who shows up, not just physically, but he's actually there, present in the room with them. This man now walks into situations that used to ambush him: a boss pushing back, a conflict with his wife, or a moment of failure. And something in him remains still. It holds fast, not perfectly, but it holds. He leads people, and they feel safe around him, not smaller. And he doesn't need the next achievement to prove that he exists. That man, well, that man is me. And I want to tell you something clearly before we go any further. That man used to be somebody entirely different. Hi, I'm Bill, and this is the Warrior Medic. For the last 3 weeks, we've been through some dark places: anger, authority, isolation, approval. They were all laid out so we can see them, and it's been painful. I know it has been for me. And if you've been listening and you recognize yourself in any of it, I know what might be happening inside you right now. You're thinking, okay, so I'm wounded. Now what? Is this just me? Or is this just how my life goes? Today's episode is for that man, the one that's asking those questions. And today, I'm not going deeper into wounds. Today, I'm going to stand on the other end of the tunnel and describe the light at that end. I'm not rushing you through the tunnel, and I'm not going to pretend the work is not hard, because you need to know the tunnel has an exit before you keep walking towards it. Let me do something I haven't done in this series yet. Let me describe the same man after. You've heard the wounded version, the man whose anger fires without warning, the man whose walls go up automatically the moment someone gets close, the man who achieves everything and feels nothing. The boy inside, still 12 years old, running the show in a grown man's body. Now, let me describe what happens when the wound loses its grip. The anger doesn't disappear. Let me be clear about that. I'm not going to promise you some version of yourself that never gets angry. That's not healing, that's just more performance. But the anger changes. It stops being a reflex and it becomes information. You feel it rise, and instead of letting it take the wheel and running you into a ditch, you pause. You can ask yourself, what's actually happening here? Is this about now? Or is this something older? And more often than not, you know the answer because you've done the work to find out. And the wall, it doesn't disappear either, but you learn where the door is. And you learn you can choose to open the door without the world ending. Your wife says something that used to hit you like an attack. And instead of going somewhere unreachable, you stay. You hear her, not because you became soft, but because you became secure. The striving changes. You can still work hard. You can lead. You can still drive towards a goal. But it stops being desperate. You're not building a case anymore, and you're not trying to prove something to a ghost. The work becomes about the work, not about the wound underneath it. And here's the one that still gets me even now. You can be known, not managed and not performed. You can be known by your wife, by your sons, by a brother who's earned the right. And the knowing doesn't destroy you because there's nothing underneath the surface that you're terrified of anymore. That's not a small thing. For a man who spent decades making sure no one could ever really see him, this is everything. Now, here's what they don't tell you about healing. It doesn't stay inside. Trauma never happened in isolation. It spread. It touched every relationship, every decision, every moment where someone needed you to be present and you just couldn't get there. But the good news is healing works the same way. It spreads. When I learned to regulate my emotions, conversations with my wife stopped becoming battles. She stopped walking on eggshells, stopped monitoring my moods before she said anything real. She started to trust that she could actually reach out to me and I'd be there. What that did to my marriage, I don't have the words to describe. And my sons, I have to be honest with you here because I owe that to you and I owe it to them. My deepest healing work didn't begin until they were already young adults. The early years, the years I wish I could go back to, were affected by the unhealed version of me. They deserved better from the start, and that's a grief I still carry. But God gave me time, and as they became men, they watched me change. The explosive anger that had defined their early childhood was gone. Not suppressed, gone, because the wound driving it had been addressed. Both of my sons are emotionally healthy men. They love and respect their mother, and they're breaking the cycle because they watched their father break it first. I led people differently, and I stopped being a man that people performed for and started being a man who could actually tell the truth to because I wasn't dangerous anymore. Teams became more productive, not because I pushed harder, but because people stopped hiding things. And here's the one I never expected. In the most unlikely place, a conservative Muslim kingdom where I had no business talking about any of this, a Saudi colonel sat across from me, stared at his boots, and told me his wife had left him. He had heard something about me, something my colleagues had seen and told him. Seen things in me that he didn't have. A peaceful marriage, a man who wasn't at war with himself anymore, and a man who wasn't hiding. And he asked me to help him. I sat there, and looking at him, I saw myself years earlier. And I understood for the first time completely why everything I had been through had happened. Not because the wound was good, it wasn't. It should never have happened. But because God is powerful enough to take the worst things and use them for the best purposes. The wound was generational going in, but the healing is generational going out. Your wife gets a different husband, and your kids get a different father. The men around you, your brothers, your coworkers, the guy at the gym who's quietly falling apart, they get a man who's been through the fire and knows the way back. The boy who was broken becomes the man who breaks the cycle. And I want to plant something in you before I close today. Just a seed, and we'll come back to it later. There's a reason this podcast is called The Warrior Medic. In combat, the medic isn't someone who stays safe behind and studied medicine in a classroom. The medic is someone who's been under fire, who knows what it smells like, and who's bled himself and still showed up for the man next to him. That credibility, you can't manufacture it. You can't fake it, and no amount of education will give it to you. When you've done the hard work of healing, when you face the wound honestly and walk towards something that could actually address it, you carry something that broken men can sense from across the room. Not arrogance or expertise, but proof. You become living proof that the thing they think is permanent isn't. The walls can come down. That anger can lose its power. That the striving can stop being desperate. That a man can be known and stay. That is part of the mission of this podcast, and it's the vision I want you to carry with you even now before the healing is complete. You're not just doing this work for yourself. You're doing it for every man who's going to watch you come out the other side, and for the first time, they'll believe it's possible. So my question to you is, and I'm not asking you to act on it, just sit on it this week. What would be different in your marriage, with your kids, and how you lead, and how you feel about yourself when you're all alone at 3 in the morning if the wound lost its grip on you? Don't answer this too quickly. Don't give me the easy version. Let this stay with you. Examine it deeply. Let it do its work. Because the size of your answer is the size of what's waiting for you on the other side. And I want to be straight with you before I go. We're not done crossing the hard territory. There's a lot more coming in these issues. Wounds that we haven't named yet. Places we've not gone. And some of it is going to hit harder than what you've already heard. But I need you to know something. We're not going deeper into the wound to stay there. We're going deeper to find the bottom so we can push off and come back to the surface. There's a way through this. I know because I've been through it. And I'm going to keep walking towards it with you every week until you can see the other side for yourself. If today stirred something in you, my book, Forged by Fire, is in the show notes below. It's the full account of what this journey looked like for me, from the wound all the way through to the other side. The link is there. And hit subscribe and like this video. Share it with a man who needs to hear that the tunnel has an exit. You might be changing their life. Remember, we're all becoming warrior medics. Reach back, help someone on their journey. My name is Bill, and this is the Warrior Medic. No man left behind.